hello. Today's February 17th. And I think today is business and social.
Uh,
Is that right?
yes.
Is that right? Okay. I thought it was right, but I wasn't sure. We literally just said it like 5 minutes ago and I forgot.
It's the ice storm, Krista. It's affecting our minds.
It is affecting our minds. It's not like we've already been, penned up in our houses for months.
The inch of ice has turned into a reflector for gamma radiation, and I can no longer think.
It's not really that much different when I don't leave the house versus like I can't leave the house because there's literally ice everywhere, but I feel it.
Yeah. I'm like, what if I want to go get like Taco Bell? Or what if I want to go take a drive?
Want to order pizza delivery? No, the pizza delivery
Yeah.
driver is not going to put his life in danger.
Yeah, the postal service wouldn't even come here yesterday.
Wow, that's got to be really bad. That's
Well, yeah, there was a tree. Not a tree the way that there should be a tree. A tree where there should not be a tree.
Speaking of things where they should not be, or something, I don't know, things that should not be. Terraria. We've played Terraria live on stream before. It's a kind of fun game. Successful financially, successful in terms of number of players. Terraria for Stadia has been canceled because the developer was ghosted by Google. So one of the developers, the co-founder of the company that is behind Terraria, Google locked his account. Didn't say why. He can't get a hold of anybody. Google won't respond. So he's like, you know what? We're not porting Terraria to Stadia. I think that's
Terraria,
good.
it's one of those games. There aren't many games like this, but they have never, ever done a DLC or any kind of upsell, and they've been adding content forever.
Literally the best kind of people. And they've run afoul of the algorithm, and they literally can't get any satisfaction. So what hope do the rest of us plebs have?
Yeah, when he talks about, I thought about that for a minute. I was like, what would it be like if I lost my Gmail? That would be devastating
Yeah.
Yeah.
because all of my email two factors are just gone. How do you ever get, because it snowballs. The first company to ignore you is Google, but then that creates a long line of companies who are going to ignore you
Yeah.
because they don't believe who you are.
I think that this is probably going to end up being, Exhibit A or B. Like, whenever Congress finally gets around to the whole, it's Section 230 boogeyman, I don't think anything is really going to happen with Section 230. But in terms of companies like Apple or Google being a monopoly, this kind of behavior is going to be Exhibit A. This kind of behavior is just untenable. I mean, can you imagine if in the 1950s or the 1960s, AT&T or the power company was like, well, we're not going to do business with you because you violated our terms of service, or we're not going to do business with you because, whatever. It took a lot to get AT&T to not sell you a telephone line. It took, the power company a lot, mostly just like messing with their transformers to be the thing that they wouldn't at least set you up with electricity. I mean, these are requirements. And not that you have to do business with Google, it's just that when Google is so omnipresent, I guess, in our lives, on our phones and everything else, that it does cross some kind of threshold. It does cross some kind of boundary. And to not have any really effective dispute resolution process really underscores how badly that you failed as a company. And I think that ultimately this will lead to a lot of legal headache for Google because they just don't handle these kinds of things well. Reuters, Mastercard is going to open up the network to select cryptocurrencies, which has led the cryptocurrencies to record highs.
It's not just MasterCard and now the other financial companies. I think it was kind of once one gave up, the rest of them will get in line. And I think that's what we're seeing. And yeah, these are the big institutional buys that could rocket it up to huge valuations.
You know who else is in? Tesla. Tesla's Bitcoin investment could be bad for the company's climate reputation and its bottom line. Tesla invested $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. But they didn't really announce this. Didn't this come from an SEC filing and then they were asked for comment? So they didn't really draw a lot of attention to this.
I'm pretty sure he tweeted it.
Oh, okay, maybe that was after the SEC filing. I
I
don't
thought
know.
he's been into Dogecoin. That's been his whole thing. Doge.
Well, yeah. So the follow up to this, I don't know if Tesla bought the Doge. Maybe that was just, or maybe he bought that for his kid. Was that the story?
I'm not sure.
But this is Tesla buying it, and the problem is, like, you're supposed to have the best interest of your shareholders in mind, and that in his position, this is massively risky.
Yeah.
And you could argue unnecessary if you believe that Tesla was capable of being profitable long term. I don't.
Speaking of things that are unnecessary, CoinDesk has a really interesting article on the virtual property that has sold for $1.5 million in Ether, smashing the NFT record. 888 Ether were paid for virtual land to mark the largest NFT transaction of all time. This is a game.
I don't understand anything about how this works. Like,
Yeah.
to be a game that you would spend millions on, I would think that people would have heard of it. Axie Infinity.
Yeah. A Genesis land plot are the rarest and best positioned land plots where they were a natural fit for my thesis. So, okay.
Talking about a master's thesis?
And how much Ether does he have that this is not a lot of money to him?
There's just
Yeah,
so
like,
many questions. Like, what is this image? And like, what's
and
happening
do you
here?
really need that firsthand experience of owning a $1.5 million property to write a paper about what it's like to own virtual stuff? I don't know.
I've got
There's
some
a lot-
bad news for you, son. It's going to be IRS related.
It's a lot of questions that CoinDesk did not answer.
So many questions. You know who else had a lot of questions and a lot of fear? CNBC reports that Robinhood has been sued by the family of a 20-year-old trader who killed himself after believing that he rung up huge losses. So he was thinking that he had a negative 730,000 cash balance on Robinhood, but that wasn't actually true because of the way that shorts work, I guess.
Well, I don't think whoever wrote this article and whoever wrote most of these articles understands what happened here, so they don't explain it correctly. I think what happened, just based on my experience with Robinhood, when you sell covered options, at the end of expiration, if you're getting exercised, and sometimes even if you're not, actually I think even if you're not, you still get a weird thing that happens here. But so when an option expires, if you're in the money, what's going to happen is you're going to be forced to buy or sell, and then the option goes away. But in the Robinhood flow, one of those things happens a day before the other thing, and it doesn't take into account what's going to happen the next day. So your account will show the wrong amount for, like 6 to 12 hours.
He did not owe $700,000.
And he pointed out, or they pointed out, they investigated after this, Robinhood, much like Google, is not interested in answering your support requests. So he had submitted 3, all of which were ignored and just got automated replies.
Come back in 12 hours. It'll be fine. Meanwhile, it's like, kind of makes sense.
Is there any sort of like legal precedent for this though? Like, can you sue someone?
Well, you can sue anybody for any reason, Krista,
Right.
in the American system. But I will say part of their argument here was like, they should have known he was only 18. When you go through any investing platform, when you sign up, and Robinhood is no exception, and I've done it, they ask you a bunch of questions and they're like, okay, do you really understand what it's about to trade options? Really? How long have you traded options? And if you don't answer those questions correctly, they won't let you do it. So he said that he was up to this at some point.
Isn't it also true that? Well, no. I think what I was gonna say there is, that what was it, FINRA, like their suit, they're gonna use this as an exhibit in that suit. I guarantee you, to try to get more controls on Robinhood to make it more difficult to use.
Yeah, well, it's the whole gamification thing.
Yeah.
But really, it's just crappy design. I think I don't know for sure that the option thing is what happened to him, but based on his quotes, it seems like he had a really big position. So for like an option spread, for example, if only one leg of that spread goes in the money, then that could look really, really, really bad for a little while. But you have the other one to protect you. And I think what happened was, one part of that shook out one day, and he was just like, all right, I got to go.
I mean, I'm sorry for his family. I just don't know that their lawsuit will be successful necessarily, but I don't know, maybe.
They're going to be in front of a judge and probably a jury who is pretty sympathetic to their cause after all this, I think.
Probably, yeah.
It might not technically be something that they should be in trouble for, but you got to think about the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
Speaking of reality and not memes, oh no, it's totally memes. Seattle Times business section reports that, think GameStop is wild, meet Dogecoin, the meme-inspired digital currency that began as a joke and is now worth billions. It was worth less than 0.3 of a cent, and now it's, hovering around 5-6 cents. So if you had a lot of Dogecoin from back in the day because it was a meme, it's probably worth something now.
It's very telling how quickly we are now moving from meme investment to meme investment.
Yeah.
The time horizon on this is very low. And that creates, a situation where people are desperately trying to follow to catch the next trend, and then that becomes that FOMO situation.
Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong?
It's all just gambling. It's always just been gambling, hasn't it?
It really has.
Well, I mean, there was probably a time in the very, very early days of the markets where you were actually investing in business value, but certainly not in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Microsoft reportedly tried to buy Pinterest. So this one caught me off guard. I had no idea Microsoft was interested in such a thing. Remember when Microsoft had Sea Dragon? Remember that? It was like that photo processing software. It was amazing. And then I never heard anything about it again.
Microsoft seems to desperately be trying to get into the hip new world of apps, but they clearly have no idea which ones to go after.
Yeah, I don't think Pinterest, I think people still use it, but it's not been super relevant in probably at least 5 years.
They pointed out that during the pandemic, it has had record user stuff because I guess, all the people sitting at home making their bread and doing their gardening and stuff. Krista, actually, you're the perfect, demographic.
I had a Pinterest account at one point, but I haven't really logged into it in years. I'm surprised that people still use it. Here's the real master plan. Microsoft knows that Pinterest results come in search results all the time, and that's very annoying. So what they're going to do is they're going to keep allowing Pinterest stuff to show up on Google, but then they're going to block Pinterest results on Bing.
Brilliant.
Big brain move.
I can't tell you how many times I'm searching for something, especially when I was doing DIY stuff at the house. And it was like, oh, I wonder if there's some way to deal with this problem. And half the results were from Pinterest. And I couldn't click on it because I didn't have the Pinterest app and I didn't want to install it. But they were still in the Google search results. And it's like, okay, I have to modify my query to specifically exclude the Pinterest domain. Oh, yeah. Boiler Snake knows what I'm talking about.
And here's the other thing, too, with the Pinterest stuff. Even if you have the app or you have an account, sometimes you'll see something, you're like, okay, that's relevant. And you'll click on it, and it's just the image. It just links to the direct image and not the article that the image is from. That's infuriating.
It so is infuriating. You know what else is infuriating? The 9-to-5 workday. But Salesforce says that the 9-to-5 workday is dead and will let some employees work remotely from now on. Well, it no longer makes sense to expect employees to work an 8-hour shift. Wow, this is quite a departure.
Yeah.
Just a year ago, Salesforce was saying, no, we need offices. We want people working the 9-to-5. We can't work as a team unless we can see you. So it's really something must have happened internally to make them about face. I think this article also talks a little bit about employee burnout and how people that are working from home are paranoid that they won't be seen as productive enough, so they're overworking.
Which I'm sure they probably secretly.
I don't know. Switching gears, I guess, a little bit. PC World. This is one of my favorite articles forever. Good job. Intel benchmarks to say that Apple's M1 isn't faster. Let's reality check the claims. Basically, they went point by point. Intel did. And PC World is going point by point here in Intel's response. The summary is, the Apple machine is using less power and it runs cooler. And they point that out because acoustically the M1 is a lot quieter. Apple really has done something incredible here, and Intel really probably should be embarrassed.
Do you think Intel feels shame anymore?
No. I don't understand what, like, Intel's got to get their stuff together. I mean, they just have to you can't make big sweeping changes quickly. This industry takes years to turn stuff around, and it may already be too late. I don't know. It is really interesting that Intel is trying to go to the mat for benchmarks, because that's not something they've done historically. And I don't know that they really understand how they're responding to what Apple has done here. I mean, a lot of the magic in the M1 is the tight coupling of the hardware and software. And, you know, Microsoft and Intel have tried to do that with the Surface. Maybe they should take a closer look at their partnership and revisit some of those problems they haven't yet solved in terms of usability, fast power on, battery life, and deliver a good product. Because if you had something in the form factor of the Surface with the long battery life and running cool nature of the Apple M1, you might have a really incredible product.
But alas.
Yeah. I think our next story, I thought of Krista the whole time, but then it was like, I don't think Krista would want to work. So I don't know. CNN style, Nissan's Office Pod imagines a new kind of remote working. So it's van life, but a workstation. But they've only got one monitor.
They've only got one monitor, and also, like, assuming you're traveling while you're doing this, where do you sleep? Is there photos of that?
Yeah, I looked for that too. There's a video, but the video was marked private by the time I watched it. I think that there is a sleeping option in, like, the middle compartment.
What a weird... So, like, the outside of it has this weird paneling on it. It's very wavy. Ryan, you could do this. You've been looking at the van life videos too.
I don't really want to live in a van. I just like watching people build them.
This one has, like, a weird extension out the back too. Why would you want to hang out of the van?
No, that's so you can work inside the van. But if you're in, like, a tropical location, you want to enjoy it, the back opens up to be like a canopy that protects you from the elements, and then you slide out the back, so you're in nature as you work at Salesforce.
But it's going to be so sunny, you're not going to be able to see your screen.
No, but that's where the top extends back. Actually, the back of the thing is on a lever, and it, like, levers up to become an awning to protect you.
Yeah. As the demo is with the iMac that's in there, it doesn't seem to be bolted to the desk. So the first time that you have a sudden braking event, you're going to lose that iMac.
I don't think you're supposed to be working while in motion.
Well, even if you're not working while in motion, like, the computer should still be bolted down. You have to, like, unpack and repack the vehicle every time, or the computer every time you move it. I mean, it just seems odd.
You can't actually buy these. I don't think the one they were showing there, it was actually... I mean, there probably isn't even an electrical system in that.
There is a version of this you can buy, but it's not the Office Pod version. It's the camping version. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it has the wavy paneling.
Panels.
What, solar panels?
Yeah.
I don't know.
How are you supposed to power your stuff?
It's a solar-powered canopy that will crush you if it falls on you.
These people clearly haven't spent any time on van life YouTube.
I don't know. It just seems really dystopian that it's like, I'm going to climb in my van and drive somewhere and then work by sitting in the back of my van. It's like, I'm going to really enjoy the beach on Hawaii and just, pull up in a van, and it's like, what you doing? I was like, I'm here at the beach, but I can't really enjoy my time at the beach because
I'm working.
I'm working and answering some dumb emails.
Yeah. One time I took a hike up to this beautiful, like, overlook, and it overlooked all, like, the forests and the trees, and, like, you could see the next town over. And I look over and there's just some guy on a laptop typing. I was like, did you hike all the way up here with a laptop just to write? Like, I don't...
Listen, I needed to go for a hike, but I was on call, and I happened to get an email on call that I have to respond to.
So now I'm just typing up here. It was weird.
I've been there. I've been where that guy is.
It was strange.
It's fine. International Business Times reports We should be teleporting, not transporting, Mark Zuckerberg says. He hints at Facebook Labs is on it in a Clubhouse chat show. So Clubhouse is sort of this audio, like peer-to-peer, not peer-to-peer, but like you can go chat with people thing. And Mark Zuckerberg is saying, well, we just need to recreate the in-person experience, but in VR, which is something Arthur C. Clarke said way back in the 70s. And then he thought travel would dissipate, and then only those jobs that couldn't be done remotely would be left in cities. And so he saw a sort of a reversal in land value, where people in more rural areas would have more valuable land than people in more city areas, or more valuable real estate, I guess. Because who wouldn't want to live in the country if you can do all the work from there? Well, Mark Zuckerberg seems to agree.
From his giant penthouse in Hawaii, where he's blocked the beach for the locals.
Exactly. Extreme Tech reports that PlayStation 5 controllers are suffering from drift. And not the good kind of drift like we saw in whatever Vin Diesel movie that was.
Good pop culture reference.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's Fast and Furious.
I guess this is like Joy-Con drift. It's just badly manufactured.
Yeah, they mentioned the Nintendo controllers having the same issue, but now it's the PS5, so it's not great.
Oh no, it's making sounds. I have to close it.
Oh yeah, there's a video down here.
It's fine. You know what else is fine? Qualcomm, they've unveiled their first 10 gigabit 5G modem. Not that you're likely to see those speeds in the future is the sub-headline. But yeah, Qualcomm Snapdragon X65, millimeter wave module, RF transceiver, RF front end, sub 6 gigahertz and millimeter wave, all on one chip system thing. I don't want to call it a single chip system, but they're trying to pack as much as they can onto a single chip. It's not quite there.
Is there a bug on this page?
Did Ryan get disconnected?
No, I'm here.
No, I think it's just quiet.
Just quiet.
I thought I saw a bug.
He also didn't move.
Like it happened last week where it kept freezing before the ice storm.
Next up is Bloomberg. Apple car talks are not happening, says Kia. Hyundai. Yeah. Loose lips sink ships. It was a test. They failed. They're no longer in the inner circle.
Do you think Kia... I bet Kia's probably pretty upset about that. They're probably like hoping that would really elevate their brand from like kind of meh car to like, ooh, we'll be luxury, top of the line.
Yeah, I think they're probably at seppuku levels of regret at this point. But that's the cost of doing business with Apple.
Ryan, would you buy an Apple car?
No. All right. Well, if I could make money on it somehow selling it, I wouldn't drive one.
What if it goes really, really fast, though?
It's going to be electric.
Goes really, really fast.
I'm sure someday I'll have to accept the electric revolution, but I'm going to fight it as long as I can.
Why, though?
Krista, it's important for me right now to have a car that in my current situation right now today is less than useless. Literally, I could choose to either not drive it or die in a fire.
You know what else is worse than useless? A smart speaker in one of our homes, because we all don't believe in smart speakers. And yet Amazon...
Not just a speaker anymore.
Well, Amazon Plus wall-mounted, what you call it, Echo device with a large touch screen that attaches to the wall and becomes a smart home control panel. Yes, that's right. When you turn the lights on, it's going to have to go all the way to California and back to make sure that's okay.
I don't like it.
I don't think anybody would like it if they understood how it worked.
But it's going to be in newly built homes, I guarantee that.
Yeah. It was hard to find houses that didn't have like the smart fridges. That's actually something that can be a little difficult to find if you're looking at newer fridges.
Krista, I couldn't find an amplifier that wasn't smart. I had to get the crappy Sony bottom of the line amplifier to get the ones that don't desperately try to get on your wireless network and make things inoperable if they can't.
That is really horrifying. We should review some of those. I was like, we tested this and it has Wi-Fi features, but it's still fully functional without Wi-Fi, versus this other model that without Wi-Fi, it's literally like it does. You can't even use the buttons on the front. That is really horrifying. Our next product is also really horrifying. It's no surprise that this absolutely obscene 7-screen laptop has a 1-hour battery life. Well, yeah, look at all those screens. Kind of ridiculous. Very expensive.
This might have more screens than I have on my desktop.
This one is 3D printed. This is not a production model yet. That is a very specific use case, but it is cool.
It's a prototype. Yeah.
How does it fold up? Is there a photo of that?
Yeah, there's if you
Just
scroll down to the bottom.
Oh, look at it.
It's got like the Velcro straps. It's pretty thick.
Thick.
That's what, like 4 inches and some change?
Yeah.
And 26 pounds?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not ultra light, chat.
That's like both of my cats.
If you had to travel somewhere to fix something, though, and you hauled that out, it's like, whoa, this guy's serious.
Yeah, they'd be impressed for about an hour.
I got to plug in, guys. I'm sorry. This would also not be possible to use on the airplane. Unless you could, I guess you could use it with only the one screen and like don't extend any of the other screens.
If you didn't care about your neighbor's like elbow room, you could absolutely use it on an airplane.
What about the screen that's mounted in the wrist area? What's the purpose of that?
So you can accidentally mash it with your wrist while you're working.
I don't know if that's a touch screen. You're definitely going to get it dirty.
Weird. I wouldn't mind like if it was just the two. That would be nice, but it seems excessive for a laptop to have that many.
Yeah, a lot of people do actually travel with a travel monitor. There's like a USB-C travel monitor kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Our next story I alluded to earlier in the government section. It was I checked Apple's new privacy nutrition labels. Many were false. So that they tested one of the applications here. What was it? What was the application?
I've lost it.
It was something that
satisfying slime. Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly would have no reason to ever track you.
But it turned out it was tracking you, and Google and Facebook Analytics had a unique advertiser ID. So even in the Apple label, where it was like, no, there's nothing in here that's tracking you, the journalist here was able to take the application apart and determine, oh no, in fact, it is actually tracking you. So the nutrition labels or privacy labels are apparently not super accurate. This is going to have implications for Apple in the European Union, as we reported in the government section. Probably also here in the U.S. for antitrust action. And Facebook is going to latch onto this like one of those face huggers from the Alien movies.
Is that, I mean, it's not good, but like, is that really necessarily Apple's fault? I guess they do vet most of their apps, so they should know.
No, they don't. See, that's the thing. He also dug down into the fine print and found this information has not been verified by Apple on every one of them.
Yeah. In the fine print, it's just like, it's up to the app developer to tell us what's up.
And he found several that were lying. Like, he easily found several that were lying.
Is that enough to give them, enough immunity with the EU where it's like, well, we said that it was the app developers' fault, so go after the app developers?
No, that's going to hurt them with the EU because the question isn't going to be, did you word this correctly? The question is going to be, are you an antitrust situation?
Yeah.
I think this lends more to yes.
You're going to have to allow third-party app stores, Apple. I'm sorry.
You're gatekeeping, but as the people pass through the gate, you're not even looking at their credentials.
This is an illusion for the EU's benefit. It's just, no, stop that. Yeah.
There's a gate, but there's no fence.
Speaking of things that may or may not be an illusion, ISPs have stepped up the fight against SpaceX and tell the FCC that Starlink will be too slow to meet their definition of broadband. So SpaceX is getting FCC funding, and the incumbent telecoms that have done nothing to upgrade are freaking out because that's taking away their money. And they want to say, hey, look, this satellite space thing is never going to be fast enough. Meanwhile, the early users of SpaceX say that, yeah, no, this is way better than that 3 megabit crap DSL that we were getting from AT&T before.
But they know that. Their argument isn't even based in current day. Their argument is eventually, when there's so many users, the saturation is going to be so bad that it's going to fall below. So we shouldn't give them money now.
It's so transparent. And I'm like, why would you be so transparent about clearly trying to hold down a competitor? But I guess the FCC probably doesn't care.
Because it's not supposed to be the FCC's competitor. The FCC is not involved here.
No, I'm saying the ISPs. Like, why are the ISPs trying to hold another? Like, they're being so transparent about trying to hold Starlink down.
My favorite.
Because
Go ahead.
they can get away with it because they control the FCC.
Yeah, there's part of me that's, I'm pulling a Wendell here where I'm like, please, no, like that, surely it can't be that obvious. Like, they're not being that transparent. They can't be that hideously evil, but they are.
Their best argument is that this is unnecessary because there's going to be fiber everywhere. And it's like, my dudes, you promised there was going to be fiber everywhere by 2003. You literally were saying that a rural outhouse in rural Nebraska, where there's only like one person per square mile, is going to have a fiber optic connection. And that was going to happen by 2005 at the very latest. So you guys have already screwed the pooch. It's not happening. You've given us no reason to think that it's going to happen. Deal with it.
And yet that probably won't happen. They'll probably be like, oh, maybe you're right.
Yeah, in 2050, that outhouse still ain't getting fiber. You remember the 90-year-old man that took out the full-page newspaper ad last week? AT&T ran fiber to his house. So apparently to get fiber to your house, you got to take out a $10,000 ad in the newspaper to complain that AT&T is horrible in order to get AT&T fiber to your house.
Aren't the estimates to have that done like pretty pricey? Maybe that's worth the $10,000.
Yeah, usually they'll charge you a lot of money to do that. But once it's there, they're only charging them $45 a month for the first year. So I guess $10,000 plus $45 a month is not a terrible deal. Although you got to think at 90, he's not going to be around to enjoy it all that much longer.
Yeah.
How much traffic? That first day, how much traffic to Pornhub was there?
Gigabytes, which would have taken weeks to download on his previous connection.
And they were all teen videos.
He couldn't even get videos before. It's just, he had to deal with just JPEGs. Blocky, awful JPEGs.
He's been reading his porn for the last 10 years.
He's reading weird fanfic.
And Facebook is said to be building a product that will compete with Clubhouse, as we've been hinting about in some of the other stories. So this is pretty much standard MO for Facebook. Anytime there's anything that's remotely popular, Facebook says, oh, we should build that. It's an audio chat product. That's it. That's the whole story.
I thought they already kind of had something like that with Messenger.
You mean the mobile phone?
No.
The thing with Messenger is you can leave voice messages for people. So it's kind of like voicemail.
I've never used it, but it seems like, why waste your time? But I guess they'll do it.
Clubhouse is more like a group option, a group voicemail. But it's not really voicemail. It's you're chatting in real time, or you're talking in real time, and they're chatting. So it's a little different.
Or, as they called that in the 80s, a party line. When we had the exact same technology.
Yeah, pretty much. Speaking of other Facebook platform changes, Facebook has announced that they are going to start showing some of its users less political content. That's it.
They just do that for all users? Like,
Yeah.
why just some?
It's important to note that we're not removing political content from Facebook altogether. Our goal is to preserve the ability for people to find and interact with political content on Facebook. We're just going to de-emphasize that in the algorithm. What, Ryan?
Oh, I was answering Chris's question. They plan to eventually roll it out to everybody. They're testing it right now.
Oh, okay.
They're testing it to see if it really negatively impacts their bottom line, which, unless they can find something for people to be even more outraged about, it's going to impact their bottom line.
Well, also, you're going to have both political parties claiming censorship and coming after them. So they have to see how bad that gets.
Yeah. It's turtles all the way down. It really is. It's really just kind of sad, really, that the things that we're most interested in as human beings are the things that make us angry. And then the algorithm is like, let me show you more things that will make you angry. And it's just
You're
like,
getting ready to go to bed? Do you want to see something upsetting? Yes, obviously.
as Ryan says, it's like, oh, well, before you know it, it's hate nap time. Speaking of other things the algorithm does that's kind of funny, Instagram says its algorithm won't promote reels that have TikTok in the watermark. So yeah, I think they're feeling the fact that if you're engaged with one app, chances are you're less engaged with another app. So if you're having your fancy tickled with TikTok, chances are Instagram's not doing it for you anymore. They just want to stop the bleeding, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of like how we upload our Twitch videos to YouTube. Nobody watches them on YouTube, but it doesn't take much work, so why not do another one, right? And they want them. It's like, no, you need to be making content just for us.
Well, YouTube won't even bother to promote them, so it's fine. It's like, no, YouTube, I would like to be told when these people post content. And it's like, no, the algorithm doesn't permit it. You need to watch. You need to watch this video that's going to make you very angry. It's like, but I don't want to watch that video. I mean, I will, but then I'm just angry afterwards.
I keep telling YouTube to stop recommending certain like channels and stuff to me, but they always come back eventually.
Yeah, it's because the algorithm.
Yeah.
BBC reports that Facebook has been sued again for losing control of user data. This is directly related to Cambridge Analytica. Facebook's response to this is kind of curious. Well, there's no evidence that we lost control of your data.
But the lawsuit is weird because they kind of accept the fact that their particular data might not have been lost, but they claim that Facebook wasn't keeping track of it. Maybe it didn't get lost, but it's not because of anything Facebook did. That's a weird argument to make. In most cases, you do have to show damages, right?
Yeah.
What's the damage?
They've ran afoul of European law. That's what's. Yeah, I don't know. The needle haystack problem there. It's like you were harmed, but I don't know. It is weird. I don't know. New York Times has Facebook says it plans to remove posts with false vaccine claims. So something, you're getting chipped for 5G. That post is going to be deleted.
And this already happened. One of the Kennedys has now been banned.
I think that was from Instagram, but I mean, it's a Facebook property.
What do they know that we don't know?
Why are the Kennedys on Instagram? But I guess everyone is, except for me.
Yeah, why wouldn't they be? Anybody who's in politics has to do that. It's not an option.
We're always talking about the algorithm. I thought our next story was kind of interesting. It's from The Verge. Jack Dorsey wants to build an app store for social media algorithms. So you as a user, could actually pick the algorithm that's used to curate and show you content. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah, but think about this. Because the algorithm, I would say what it comes down to is not what people want to see. It's what people don't want to see. Would you agree with that?
I think so. And it gets real dangerous real fast.
And what people don't want to see will generally be, for the majority, the other political party. So you'll get to a point where you're not only pigeonholed by a political party, but you have a literal name for the thing that you are. And it's on your social media. And when you talk to other people, they're going to be like, well, are you a center right? Because I only talk to center rights.
I think that the banana is the best fruit snack, and I don't want to see any posts that say anything otherwise. Chocolate-covered strawberries? No, banned. What about kiwi? No, banned. I only want to hang out with the people that believe that the banana is by far the best snack fruit. What could possibly go wrong?
And then people will start making apparel and other indicators that they will wear. And then they will get into public conflict with other people who are wearing the opposite.
Team Banana represent.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
There's a historical precedent here.
And it'll only get worse because, it's that echo chamber where you're guaranteed, once you join this group, to only get more radicalized by this group.
Guys, my best friend was super into strawberries. It's like, nope, we
They were degenerate.
Yeah, it's like
This would
we
be-
banned them.
I would love to start my own, like curated algorithm, and get sycophants to join it and try to control them. That sounds like a hilarious thing to do.
You got a Twitter account?
Well, he hasn't launched this yet. I gotta wait.
I think this in the olden days with the old media, this is how we end up with figures like Richard Simmons.
Richard Simmons?
Yeah, just went to the oldies guy.
I don't think he he controlled a huge rabid following.
You've obviously not seen the Sweat into the Oldies videos.
I mean, they were huge. But how many of them were there?
Enough for him to retire comfortably, I think. But
Oh no! Do you not know how it ended up for him?
no.
It was like one of those whatchamacallit, the guy in the wheelchair, Hawking. It was like one of those situations where he got old and his housekeeper was like controlling everything and beating him.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
That's not that took a turn for the dark unexpectedly. Mark Cuban is co-founding a podcast app where hosts can talk to fans live and monetize their conversations. Fireside is launching later this year. Sounds kind of like Clubhouse with a twist.
World's worst logo.
It's Clubhouse with monetization. I thought you might react to that. Now, is that supposed to be a log or a battery?
Deliberately ambiguous. The battery's on fire.
Now, that should be the Tesla logo, shouldn't it?
My mind went to like a more sexual place with this logo, but
Please explain.
it kind of looks like the flame is writing something. But maybe maybe my mind is just saying there.
You think it's like a cowgirl type situation?
I don't know why. There's just something about it. Everything about it is weird. Like, why is one thing a gradient and one thing an outline? And like,
Well,
I don't like it.
Fire is a gradient naturally sometimes.
this part of the
I don't know.
conversation alone makes up for how awful the news is this week.
This week, I don't know. It's a bad logo. I'm not thrilled about it. Their website is also a little strange. They have a link to it in the chat.
Well, it's just Mark Cuban. I mean, what are you gonna do?
There's so many emojis. I feel like I'm being marketed to by a MLM. Hey, hun. Smiley emoji.
There's a Zoomer. Somebody that's pretending to be a Zoomer. No.
Yeah. Or like I said, someone who's been sucked into some sort of thing where they're selling leggings or candles.
But it's tough to do all of that with no video, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised at how many celebrities, and I guess it's probably because of the global situation, are on services like Cameo and stuff like that. It's like, let me just dial up Michael Dorn. Oh, for $100, I can get a 3-minute video from Michael Dorn. It's like, ooh.
Cameo is a great way to directly figure out how famous you are.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a monetary value.
I got to think that some of the actors that were like amazing actors on Broadway before television, but that are not as famous as like, say, the Kardashians, are looking at that and being like, oh, $500 for, something from a Kardashian versus I can only get like $50. That's got to be depressing.
I imagine everything about being a Broadway actor is depressing.
Speaking of depressing things, Twitter considers subscription fee for TweetDeck and other unique content. So remember TweetDeck? It used to use the API for free, then they restricted the API, and then it's kind of not. And
Did we not? Was this not a story we did like a year ago? It's not the first time they've talked about this.
Yeah, this is where they the first time we did this story was basically they're restricting the API and they're going to monetize the API. And it's taken them a year apparently, or two. They've laid out a coherent plan for exactly what that would look like. And I think people would probably go for this the way they describe it.
I don't know. They reported their financials, right? They are losing an insane amount of money every day.
Yeah.
At Twitter.
And it's not like the Hollywood money where it's like, oh, this movie lost money, and it's like, but it was wildly successful. It's like, yeah, Hollywood accounting.
It's not a paper loss. It's real. It's a real loss.
I thought Twitter was never. I mean, like, it was profitable, but profitable in the way of like people just kept investing in it.
No, well, yeah, but that's not profit.
Right.
Like, legally, that is not profit. They've never made money.
Yeah.
And yet, here they are.
And the ad stuff is, now that it's starting to break down, that's what this was all about. It's like, wait a minute. We've never made money, and the way that we make money is making less money.
This would have been a great article to segue into with part of our earlier conversation, but the New York Times says that the quest for Hollywood fame splits Redditors at the heart of the market frenzy. So this is Wall Street bets, but we're not talking about the stock market part of it or GameStop or any of that. This is the movie rights for that. How do you sell that? What happens when a company shows up and wants to buy the movie rights? Well, you end up with a bit of a mess.
I don't think that's, well, I mean, I'm sure there was some of that. I think the real thing here was they were putting the quote unquote right people in charge of Wall Street bets before things get out of hand. If you look at, now I've seen people who make graphics to explain this, but I've never confirmed it for myself. I'm going off a screenshot, so I'm not positive about it, but there's some kind of crazy statistic like 800 people moderate a massive percentage of Reddit. They're just some of those moderators are on every subreddit, and they really control the narrative. And a lot of those people are supposedly ones that were added to Wall Street bets after this.
Oh.
Interesting. Now, we had a story, but I don't think it made the final lineup about one of those Wall Street firms. Was it Citron Group?
Sinvesting or something like that. I don't know what happened to that.
There was a job posting where they're hiring somebody $200K a year plus.
Oh, that's in nonsense.
Oh, it's in nonsense. Okay. Well, I'll save it for nonsense. But yeah, it's just like, good Lord. Yeah. So movie rights, and it's like, oh, you're going to monitor meme analysis for stocks. My goodness.
But think about it. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with it, but in this past week, we went from the most shorted. That was last week. And that wrapped up. And then they went to the weed stocks. The weed stocks were big for a while. And then they went to the micro caps and the penny stocks, just random ones that they chose. And then they went to Doge. So how else are you going to try to get in front of that every time?
It's
You
just
don't.
random. No, it's,
Yeah.
you just don't. It's just.
But it's not random. Somebody's in there stirring it, and some people, because we talked about this last week with, remember the one company they built software to do that instead of hiring a person.
Yeah.
And apparently the biz board on 4chan obfuscates. They throw out bad ticker information all day long to try and combat this.
That's good, though.
Classic fortune.
Yeah, that seems like a good way to deal with that. So that's good. And then our last story of the day: man to pay £25,000 damages over a negative TrustPilot review. So I gather from this dude hired a law firm and then sent them the info on his problem. Then they restated what he said and sent it back to him. And he's like, that's not what a law firm should do. I'm just going to leave them a negative review and move on. So they sued him. And they won.
But I was not in the US of A.
Yeah.
So they have different kinds of laws about posting stuff online over there in London town. And, well, this is like what was it, Singapore?
Yeah.
Or was it Thailand? It was Thailand, wasn't it?
Thailand, yeah.
This sounds a lot like that one. But he did say, he called them a scam, right? I think that was the language that really hurt him. Scam solicitor is what he said about them.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, that's horrifying.
I mean, if he would have said, I paid £200 and I was not satisfied with the service that I got, you think it would have gotten away with that?
I would hope so, yeah. Other reviewers are now leaving TrustPilot reviews on the firm's page in an attempt to support Mr. Weymouth. Well, that seems good, because at one point he said, all right, I'll take the review down if you just refund the £200 fee that he was charged to restate the same information that he'd already given them back to him, because he just didn't feel that was worthwhile. I think they should have done that, and it would have been less headache than what they face now. Because are they going to sue all the other reviewers that are leaving negative reviews? I don't think so.
Well, they might. They got some money out of it.
I'm sure that a lawyer would never abuse the court system for personal revenge. They just wouldn't do that.
In the way that we would never abuse the YouTube algorithm to something. I don't know. Like, favorite, and share.
Hit the bell icon.
You left out subscribe. That's the most important one.
Oh, yeah. Subscribe and engage. Do we have an engagement challenge for this episode? I don't think we did.
I don't think we did for today. We did on
not today's episode.
The engagement challenge is you made it to the end. You are the most loyal and special and important person. Good job.
Today's engagement challenge is, how much would you donate to be a part of our Clubhouse?
All right. Krista, give us a thirsty goodbye.
Goodbye.